There is Derrick James, and we got him live in the flesh. Derrick, how are you, my man?
Hey, I'm doing good. We're doing corona testing. That's what it was. They pulled me away for that.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Well, Derrick, first of all, how are you and your family doing? Is everyone okay and safe down in Dallas?
Yeah, everybody's good, man. We're doing good. Just working. We're at the gym right now. Everybody's doing the test, so I had to get everything because I'm running the whole camp, so I had to get everything together. Sorry about that.
No worries, Derrick, and it's great to talk with you. Derrick, how excited are you and Errol for 10 days from now as you guys get ready, as Errol puts his welterweight titles on the line against Danny Garcia?
Well, man, I can't wait. I think that this has been a long journey, a long ride, not to mention a long journey of 11 years, but to come back for the fight. So it's like very beautiful to even think about it, so I just can't wait, man. Can't wait for him to get in there and just, be himself, show everybody who he really is and that, he hadn't missed a beat. I love that.
I think he looks better now than
Right.
what he did before, he had the car accident and even in the lead up to the fight with Sean Porter. I mean, his muscles are bulging. When I watched him work out, he was cracking the bag. I mean, it sounded like a baseball bat hitting a pumpkin. Do you feel this is the best in shape that we've ever heard Errol Spence and seen him?
I think it's the best in shape, but at the same time, I think that everything's under control. His weight, he's right there at his weight. I mean, like, when I say at weight, I mean, like, literally at his weight. I mean, and he's right there, man. Everything is good. He's really focused. This one is like, this probably means the most to him. This is the most. And it's beautiful just to be back doing what he loved to do. So that's what we're here to do, show the world.
Derrick, when I look at Errol Spence's eyes, there's something different about this fight compared to the others. And the reason why I say that is I feel like he has this level of focus, but I also feel like he's not overlooking Danny, but he wants to look through him. I feel like he wants to blow through Danny Garcia to make a definitive statement. Is that accurate to say?
I think that, that will be accurate to say, right? Because you're never looking past Danny Garcia, but I think that at the same time, for him, he knows what he has to do to make a statement, right? And getting in a war, which will be a war, because Danny's a true fighter and a warrior, you realize that, the statement that you want to make, the other guy has a little pushback. So he's prepared for that, but that's what you see in his eyes is the determination to be great again. And really, just to show everybody who he really is, that he hadn't missed a beat.
I mean, I would even say, because I watched him from years ago, from when he turned pro to when he became a contender, even when he was fighting guys like Chris Algieri, Leonard Bundle, and he was focused then, but not compared to now. It's a whole nother different type of focus. It's this championship focus that I feel like only the true elite fighters in the history of this sport have been able to have, and I feel like Errol has that.
I think he does too, man. I mean, he put it like this. He could have came out with an easy fight. He could have fought a soft opponent, right? And nobody would have complained about it. But I think he wanted to challenge himself. He wanted to push himself to see where, he really was. And he took a great challenge in Danny Garcia. So that focus has to be there because he knows that Danny's going to have that same focus. It may be called the eye of the tiger, going back to Rocky.
I was going to say, I almost feel like that's what we're watching right now out of Errol Spence.
Right, without a doubt.
And how about yourself? Well, what are some things that you guys have been working on in camp? I mean, obviously not giving away any specifics, but what are some things that you've been, applying with Errol during the course of this training camp?
This is all about him, man, finding himself. I've worked. My focus is to see everything is if he's reacting to punches right, he's reacting to the motions right. And I've always done that, so it's no different now than the other time. But I'm always watching to see how he's going to react. It's not so much about what he does in the ring; it's about the opponent and how he reacts to that as well. So my focus is how he reacts, what he does, how fast his counterpunches are, how fast this is, where is he at, where is he standing. And that's the key element, is to just kind of like show up and be the best version of yourself would be a more difficult task for Danny Garcia.
Now, do you believe in such a thing as ring rust? Because when Errol Spence steps into the ring against Danny Garcia on December 5, it will be over 14 months since he last had a prize fight against Sean Porter. Could that be an issue, or do you think that is just something that, people talk about in fodder?
I think that ring rust is real, but what happens is this, I believe, at the same time, is that ring rust, you can't get it off in 2 months or 3 months. That's generally what happens. Like, you see a Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather is a phenomenal athlete at the same time, but he trains for like 6 months, 7, 8 months, right? So by the time you see him in the fight, it looks like he hadn't missed a beat because he's been training for so long, and that's what happened. We've been training since March. If you count that March to now, that's 7 months or so, something like that. So it's like you hadn't missed a beat. That's really kind of what it is that you put all the work in early, get all the rust off. So by the time you start sparring and working, you don't really see much of it.
Have there been any challenges that you have encountered? I mean, I know that you went through a training camp with Jermell Charlo prior to his fight with Rosario, dealing with these new restrictions of COVID-19, but have there been any challenges that you and Errol have experienced while getting the welterweight champion of the world ready?
No, man, we just did really, initially, from the first start in March, I mean, we just, 3 of us in the gym, myself, Errol, and his friend Jordan, and we've been together just working every day, like 6 days, sometimes you want to work 7 days, it just depends on how inspired he is, and we did a lot of those weeks for 7 days straight. And then getting to Jermell, I had to go back and forth. We kind of like broke it up a little bit. But once that fight was over, it was all Danny Garcia.
So once, you got done with the victory with Jermell Charlo over Jason Rosario, you guys are really able to kick it into high gear, and that's still about 8 weeks of quality, and, that's, typical training camps.
About 10 weeks, I think.
So 10 weeks.
Yeah, 10 weeks, not to mention how he had been already pushing it before. So, probably a little bit longer because they moved the fight back 2 more weeks. So it would have been 10 to 12 weeks. I'm not even sure. Something like that, though, yeah.
So you were working with Errol, even before training camp officially started.
Right, no doubt, yeah.
So does that allow you to push him further and work on more things instead of, or is this something that Errol has done before, or is this something new that he's done in terms of coming into this good a shape?
Well, not to this extent, right? Because it's like to be working out, training deeply, because this one he's working through something, he's working through something. So that's the difference between him now and then. But once you get past everything you're working through, he's 100%. I mean, he's moving, his head movement, everything is there, man. Everything is there. And you'll see the power, you'll see everything that he brings. Like I saw an interview, and one thing Sean Porter said that they'll know when he gets hit. Danny Garcia will know when he gets hit, kind of what's going on. And I think that's true. I mean, I think that he's a big puncher, so you got 2 big punches and 2 good boxers. So that means it's going to be a really great fight or a really boring fight, but I doubt that. It'll be boring. I think it'll be 2 guys going at it and because both of them want something, right? Danny wants those 2 belts, and Errol wants to prove that he is still the true number 1 welterweight in the world.
Derrick, I asked Errol this last week during his workout that I was there with you guys. Very fortunate to be there in Dallas. But you pointed out Danny Garcia's punching power. I asked Errol, is this the hardest puncher you will have faced? And he said, I don't know because I haven't been in the ring with him. Now, that's a fighter's perspective. What are you thinking from being his trainer?
I think that if you look at the guys, I think maybe supposedly Kell Brook was supposedly a big puncher. I'm not for sure. But I think that probably the biggest puncher of the guys he spars with, he prepared with. You know what I mean? Like, Burley Brooks is a super middleweight who's like, when he was sparring with him, like 180 pounds. So it's like, that's really the biggest puncher he's been in the ring with. Not in the fight, but in the ring with, right? And so, but as a fight, it could be Danny, who knows? But we prepare him with the big punches. We prepare him for the guys who, make you can't just walk through. You have to be, and they push him as well. They hit him as well. They push him as well. That's really what you need to be able to step up to the next level. And if Danny's going to come, he's going to bring his A game. We're looking forward to that. And I think it'll be a beautiful fight, man.
Derrick, as we look at this fight and we break it down, there are a lot of different layers to this fight, and that's why I think it's so intriguing and entertaining. December 5 on PBC Fox Sports pay-per-view. But Danny Garcia has the edge when it comes to, I think, double the amount of fights against current or former world champions. So the experience factor lies with Danny. Will that be a factor or play at all over the course of the fight?
I think that, going in, I think that from a mental aspect for himself, I think he'll have that edge for himself mentally. It doesn't mean it's reality because it's for himself. But I think that when you think at it, you look at it, I don't think so, because I think that, none of the guys who he fought have been on the level of a Floyd Mayweather that Errol's been in the ring with. So you can't, and listen, he has fought more champions than any active fighter. He has the best resume other than Manny Pacquiao, right, in boxing, and definitely in the welterweight division. Nobody even comes close to his resume. So, but I think at the same time, think as a welterweight, none of those guys come close to Floyd Mayweather, or one Floyd Mayweather. And that's Errol. Worked with him really good, but it wasn't a fight, it was sparring. But we don't play boxing, so it's real. And go all out.
How important is it for Errol to start early and strong? Because the Achilles heel for Danny Garcia in his losses, narrow losses at the hands of Sean Porter and Keith Thurman, has been the fact that he has been a slow starter. For Errol, for him to be able to start stronger from the outset to gain and make sure Danny knows that he's still here.
Man, listen, he has to start and just be efficient and be thorough. And constant, repetitive, over and over, whatever he's doing, whatever punch he's doing. He can't I think that what happens is you can't let Danny Garcia beat Danny Garcia. You can't let him be the great guy that he is. You have to take him out of the situation and not let him be himself. Because if he beats himself, you never listen. You get a lot of things happen when Danny Garcia is able to be how great he really is. So you just got to be able to be focused and be continual over and over and over, hitting him with shots, not letting him think, not letting him kind of get his bearings or do whatever you need to do to just keep him off balance.
So essentially not letting Danny get into a rhythm.
Right, no doubt, without a doubt, yeah.
And with Danny being a counter puncher, he has that vicious left hook along with the right hand. What are some things, you don't have to, again, dive into specifics, but are there some things you've been working on?
Well, it's things you can do to negate counter punching. There's things you can do to deal with things, that ability to throw those kind of shots. There's several things you can do to not even let it even come into play. Then there's other things you can do. You can fall into that and let those things come into play, and you counterpunch the counterpunch. So, we just, we're looking at several things, and this is not to teach you what we're going to do, but there are things that kind of throw the counterpunch off. And at the same time, sometimes you can just embrace it and just go in and go close. Be ready for whatever. Counterpunch.
Derrick, when you mentioned to me, and I want to go over this again, because for those that don't know, you went ahead and you told me that Errol's hitting the hardest that he ever has been. When it comes to that, what is it? It's just when you're holding the pads? Is it when you watch him hit the heavy bag? Because, man, he was pounding away on some leather and letting the leather fly during his workout on last Thursday, about 6 days ago.
Man, it's like the pads, man. He's hitting the mitts. That's when I'm feeling his full weight, and we spawn these bigger guys. Because even both of the guys he spawned with, I can't imagine. The other spawn brother probably is about 160, 170, and the other was like 180. So these are bigger guys, and but they have to be able to be bigger guys. Going to do that pounding over rounds. Like today, we just finished pouring 13 rounds, which is not much because we've done 15 and 16 doing camp. So it's like we're just kind of winding down and weaning it out of it and just kind of more focused on strategizing game planning. But the power is there, man. Like my elbows, and I had to get massages every week, man, for real, just to kind of deal with the situation.
Well, I don't think you get enough credit, Derrick, for being able to put yourself and put your fighter in tip-top shape. And in the meantime, you got to absorb some punishment as well.
I am, man. My elbows and I'm telling you, my elbows, my hands, you have no idea. Massages all the time, every week.
Another key to Errol Spence's punching power, and he lands 48% of his power connects, is the fact that he has great leverage. He sits down and he gets all the torque necessary into his shots. Where does that come from?
It's all about his balance. It's like great footwork, man, and just really kind of the preparation to be able to adjust to whatever the guy is doing and to be able to rotate on those shots. I mean, because the thing about it is he's not really setting down on all of his shots, because if the guy's moving backwards, he still has to be able to generate that same type of power. So if he's able to sit down, that's one thing. But we work on him moving forward and being able to get the same kind of power also, because I think that you create different scenarios, because hypothetically, if the guy moving backwards, I still need to be able to get that same amount of power. The guy moves forward, whatever direction he's moving, so we don't necessarily settle down unless the guy's like standing right in front of us. But he's going to get the same power generated from moving either direction, which is what we practice on.
Well, he certainly does a great job of that. When it comes to the opposite side, we know fighter against fighter, Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, but it will be you in the corner against Angel Garcia. What is your interpretation of Angel Garcia, who no doubt is a personality in boxing?
I think that I have no thoughts about it. I think that he's who he is. I mean, it's not for me to have any thoughts about whatever he does. I think that sometimes that could be a ploy or some sort of distraction just to get you out of your game plan, or just to think that he's not as focused as he really is. As you know, it's obviously a ploy, and at the same time, he's very focused, because you see where he is in his career. His son is a 2 division champ or whatever. So he may be joking, but he's trying to get you to think maybe he's not as serious as he really is. But if you look at his track record, that's all you have to do is look at his track record, and you'll see just how serious and just how good he really is at what he does.
Derrick, when they told you guys that it's going to be AT&T Stadium, limited fans in attendance, how excited were you guys knowing that, man, we're going to be fighting in front of fans and we're going to be fighting at home once again?
I think that, it's great, man. It's great for the city, man. It's great and the thing about it was great to be at home. It was great to kind of embrace and let Dallas continue to embrace us, continue to motivate, and we inspire other people. But I think it's great for our economy, because so many people come to town. I mean, with so many businesses hurting right now because of COVID, this is something beautiful to see that he brings in the people like nobody, because the Cowboys don't do it, Mavericks don't do it, Rangers don't do it, but Errol Spence does bring in, and he does affect the economy.
How much does Errol Spence Jr. mean to the city of Dallas?
I think it means a lot, because, we haven't had champions in a long time, so I think when was the Mavericks won, maybe
2011, I believe, right?
Just 9 years ago.
Yeah.
We need this, it's always good, it's always great and inspiring, because boxing is a metaphor for life, so you apply boxing to whatever you do in the ring, but at the same time, it's like a metaphor for life. People go through pain, sorrow, get beat up, get bumped, but they have to keep getting up and keep pushing on. That's what boxing is to me, and that's what I see it. And I think that people may feel the same way, so that they can identify with what Errol just endured, with being in an accident or coming back from something and fighting back on something. I think that's beautiful, because all peoples of all walks of life can be inspired by that.
I'm always curious to know from trainers, when do you know how to focus? Because you have less than a minute in between rounds. Like literally, by the time they sit on the stool, it's about 57, 56 seconds. How do you know when to focus on the actual X's and O's? And how do you know when to be a motivator and when to help out the mental side of the fighter?
Well, I think that I do all of that in training camp, because I think that once when you're in the corner, that minute, sometimes it's not long enough, and it's quick enough just to adjust to something in particular, but nothing. nothing so bold and big that it makes such a profound effect. But I think that for me, I do most of the stuff in training camp to where the fight is just, okay, remember we did this, remember we did that. So we worked on so many different scenarios and so many different situations that we can just pull to that at that particular time, at that particular moment. So it's like, for the minute, it's like, if you put it like this, if you have to tell a guy to do something in a fight that you didn't prepare to do in the gym, you're in trouble. So for me, it's all about scenarios and situations that I do my best to present to try to get him to put himself into in training camp to where if it presents itself in the fight, we're ready and prepared for it.
Are you the kind of trainer that likes to watch a lot of tape on opponents? Because I hear from fighters all the time, they go, you don't really know what the other guy's going to do because stylistically you might be a little bit different with me compared to anybody else.
I mean, I don't really watch a lot of video. I mean, I can't say that I do. I watch some. I watch enough to try to pick up some tendencies and some things that they do. But it's kind of hard for me to watch it, so I really don't watch a lot of it. But I do. I do my best to watch as much as I should. And I'm going home to watch some tonight. Matter of fact, tonight and tomorrow, and all the way up until the fight time.
Now, if everything goes according to plan on December 5, Derrick, who do you guys want next for Errol Spence Jr.?
I don't know, man. I think that because it's like I'm not the guy to do that. I'm the guy who's gets him prepared for whoever he wants to fight. So for me, I'm not the guy yelling, we want this guy, we want that guy. Because I want whoever he wants. Whoever he wants to fight, that's what I want him to fight against. I mean, I don't think that, for me, I don't think that that's my place to even do that. Say I want to fight this guy, that guy. If they choose him and they say this is the guy, I'm going to get him ready for that particular guy.
Historically, you're a student of the game, as am I. Historically, if these guys keep winning, and you know where I'm going with this, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, do they need each other for their legacies or no?
Well, you know what? I think that Errol doesn't necessarily need him, but I think he needs Errol because he needs. But at the same time, let me say this, Debbie. This is what I heard. That I heard Bob Arum say that he's tired of promoting Terrence Crawford. So I'm not going to promote him on this either. So we're not going to talk about it.
Okay, all right.
See, this is promoting somebody that the promoter doesn't want to promote.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to bring him up to you in the sense that, you know.
I think, like, listen, man, I want Errol to fight who he wants to fight. So if that's who he wants to fight, I'm cool with that. I mean, I think it will be great because, I mean, put it like this. Errol is building a heck of a legacy. You think about with Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, and Mikey Garcia, those three fights right there are Hall of Fame. And all three of those guys are probably going into the Hall of Fame for sure, if you think about it. So he's building his own legacy with or without whoever he's fighting, or with or without the other guys anyway. Sean Porter's doing it himself. Mikey Garcia did it himself. And Danny Garcia doing it himself, meaning that they're fighting other top quality opposition. So you don't necessarily need any individuals who've never fought anybody of relevance. You don't need a guy like that. That's just it's all hypothetical, you know. Ray Leonard didn't fight whoever he wanted to fight. So many people go through history and don't fight whatever, but it's like, I want Errol to fight who he wants to fight. But at the same time, he's fighting, put like this. That guy doesn't have a resume like Sean Porter. That guy doesn't have like Mike Garcia. That guy doesn't have a resume like Danny Garcia. So what are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, someone that has an extensive resume is Manny Pacquiao.
That's right.
And that, I mean, you know, right. This, if COVID is behind us at AT&T Stadium, that to me would probably draw about 80,000 people, assuming that we're able to pack stadiums.
Right. That's right. You can get everybody in the house. It's like, so you think about, we're in the business of fighting fighters who are very established. And listen, I want that other fight to happen. Whatever, come on, man. Whatever people want it, whatever, you know. But at the same time, Manny Pacquiao would be great. That would be a good, phenomenal fight. Hey, man, listen, it would be beautiful. We probably get about 80 in there. You're right.
I mean, hey, I'm thinking 80. I mean, I'd like to see even more. I mean, why not? I mean, two southpaws going up against each other, the 8th Division World Champion, undefeated champion from Dallas. I mean, man, can you imagine that, Derrick? I'm sure you guys would be pumped up for that one.
Listen, what I'm going to do is, it's a great idea. I'm not going to think so far into it.
Yeah.
Because think about that. Like, man, that's amazing. I mean, that's like, you can't get any bigger. You can't get, I mean, I don't think you can get any bigger than that. I mean, like, can't get any bigger than Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence, Dallas, Texas. You know, that's amazing.
Well, before we can even talk about that piece of business, Derrick, we have to look at December 5. In a perfect world, how does next week play out against Danny Garcia on PBC Fox Sports pay-per-view?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm just going to say that it plays out as Errol Spence being, defending his titles and being a unified, be a unified champ of the world. And, we close out the year with a great year. I mean, because even with Danny Garcia losing, it's still a great situation for him. It's his first pay-per-view fight, and he fights he never fought in front of a crowd this big. It's a lot of pluses for everybody. So I think that, it's beautiful, man. But it plays out, I believe, as Errol Spence winning the fight.
Derrick, I know that you guys kind of keep yourself secluded and everything else. You don't pay attention to what social media and writers and everyone, those around the sport say. But are you aware that you're being talked about, if Errol wins next Saturday, December 5, as being potentially the 2020 Trainer of the Year?
Well, I have heard something like, I heard that. I mean, just because it may look like that doesn't mean it is that. Because last year, you had a unified champion, you got to regain the title, was made a world champ. That wasn't enough. So I don't know what could be enough. Who knows? I'm just saying. Because think about that. You had a unified champ, and look who he fought, Mikey and Sean. Mm-hmm. Right? Then Jamel gets his title, but he had two knockouts back to back. He gets the title back. Now he's a two-time welterweight champ. What's bigger than that? But at the same time, when the WBC came out with their trainers of the year, who did they leave off the list? Off the list. So think about it. You have two WBC champs, and they just became WBC champs against those fresh in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even think about it. So I just look at it like, you can't get happy about that. My goal is to make sure my guys win. And if I win that, that's cool, but they'll find somebody, they'll to say they don't want to give it to me. So it's okay.
Are you guys going to be able to enjoy Thanksgiving tomorrow, Derrick? I know you're winding down camp. Are you guys going to be in the gym continuing to work and stuff like that? Are you guys going to be able to enjoy a little turkey during the holiday?
I am. We're going to enjoy it. I mean, I'm going to enjoy my family day. It's like, it's called, for me, it's called a family day. So, so we're going to hang out with my family. And we're going to get to work in also. I mean, the boxing won't keep that aspect of it. We'll get to do our work here, then go home, and I'll get to eat. You know what? Errol can eat also if he wants to. He can eat, but I mean, yeah. He can eat because listen. When I say he's on weight, he's on weight. I'm telling you. So yeah, he can eat.
Is this the best that you've seen him when it comes to being so close to weight, so far away from the fight? Because we're close to the fight, but yet we're still 10 days away. Right.
It's like this is phenomenal. Put like this, he's so close to weight. I want to tell people how much he weighs, but I can't. And not like we have an agreement, but at the same time, it's like, he's good. And I'm happy to see how focused and dedicated he's been about that.
Well, Derrick, thank you so much for your time, Folly. What do you want to tell everybody as we continue to deal with COVID-19? Great to have fans in attendance next Saturday, but if you can't be at AT&T Stadium, you can watch it December 5 on PBC Fox Sports pay-per-view. What do you want to tell the public?
I just want everybody to still continue to be safe, continue to wear your mask, and as we said, if you can't get out to the fights, please watch it on Fox pay-per-view because it'll be a beautiful night of boxing. I mean, that we're in the era where all of his fights, if you think about his last 3 fights, have been what has considered super fights. Him fighting champions and champions fighting each other. So I mean, it's super fights. Even after this, the next fights to come could be all super fights. So I think that this is just the building of that and the maturation of a young man from going from 2012 Olympics coming all the way up, and everybody's following us. I do appreciate that. And thanks to everybody, because we do it for the fans, we do it for our families, and that's what it's all about.
Well, Derrick, Errol Spence is must-see TV. Can't wait to get down to Dallas, AT&T Stadium. Very excited. Derrick, thank you so much for your time. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and I'll see you in about a week as you guys have the press conference next Wednesday.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man. Enjoy that, and I'm going to go enjoy my family day tomorrow. We'll have a good holiday.
All right, Derrick, greatly appreciate it. Have a good one.